Things are gonna get crazy.
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, you amazing and beautiful people. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, where this week we are on a big mission. It's going to be an important one, and it will be a little bit unexpected, but there is just one mission that we have to do and that we must make sure we can go and achieve it. And that is to have this podcast episode go smoothly from beginning to end with no sudden interruptions. Seriously, last week was just an absolute disaster with that sudden power outage, and it just really broke everything into pieces. And sometimes quite literally, considering that when I had to go and edit it for the YouTube version, I had to go and take the pieces that I recorded and just put it all in one episode to go and put it up to make it seem like it's going smoothly. It was just an absolute mess, especially afterwards to deal with it, because it actually took me a few days to make sure all of my softwares and to make sure my computer was working as normally, because honestly, having a power surge just happened right out of nowhere in the middle of a live stream while I had a special guest, mind you. It was just not fun to deal with, which, by the way, I just would like to go and give a special shout out to last week's special guest, Jerry McGrory. I was so fortunate and I was so lucky to have someone who was very patient with me throughout that entire experience. So I just want to go and give him a major special thanks. So yes, that is pretty much the big goal for today. That is the big goal for this episode, to make sure from beginning to end that I would have a smooth episode with no sudden random interruptions. So hopefully, if life can be more forgiving to me this week, then we'll be fine with that. So that's the big thing that I want to do. And before we go and get things started with this episode, I just would like to go and have a quick shout out, a quick mention to something very unfortunate that did recently happen, which is the passing of Thea White. You guys may remember Thea White more as the voice of Muriel from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Apparently a few days ago, she actually passed away due to a surgery that she had. She was in her early 80s, so she did live a full life, but it is pretty sad to see her go, especially as a Courage the Cowardly Dog fan myself and someone who watched the show when it was on Cartoon Network. It's just heartbreaking to hear that possibly the sweetest thing that ever came out of that show is no longer with us. So even though I didn't really have time to fit in as a full story, I just thought that I might as well go and give out a quick shout out, since nowadays everybody is talking about it. Even not too long ago, John Dilworth himself, the creator of Courage the Cowardly Dog, actually put out a video on YouTube where he expressed his memories and his grief, just to put out a little message about Thea White. So just thought I would go and say that. So thank you so much, Thea, for your amazing performance as Muriel, and for your amazing career and your amazing life, and may you rest in peace. Okay, so now with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to go and ask you, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all ready now? Let's see. So, are people prepared? Let me see. Actually, hold on. You're right over here, so... Yep, okay. Now they're popping up there. You see, now they're popping up. They're saying that they are ready. That is beautiful to hear. So now, with all that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that we have for you today, well, unfortunately, it's going to be another piece of sad news, but this one came before the whole news about Thea White's passing. This was actually something that normally you wouldn't really think about that this would happen, and yet here we are. Last week, the major announcement was made, and yes, it will be over soon. Not now, but in the near future. There is a timer that has activated for this show's time to come. And what I am talking about, I almost forgot about the camera. Oh boy, great save there. But anyways, what I am talking about, of course, is going to be Arthur. Yes, it is official. Arthur is officially going to be coming to an end, where the 25th season will be its last. And even though right now we are only on the 24th season, the 25th season will be starting in the winter of 2022, and that will be guaranteed to be the last piece of Arthur that you are going to get, or at least in terms of the main series. So, how did this news broke out? Was it something that PBS officially made an announcement? No. It actually came from a very interesting source. So you guys probably remember a few weeks ago, I had a special guest, Jason Schwimmer, who was previously the voice of DW between season 7 and season 10. He actually came in as a special guest, partly to go and promote his podcast that he was having called Finding DW, in which he would go and chronicle his adventure of trying to find all the people who voiced DW throughout the series, considering that the people who would voice DW, they would be kids, and when they would grow up, well, eventually puberty would kick in and they would have to leave, and then another person would go and play DW. And he would go and chronicle his adventures while he would talk to other people that was a part of the production team of Arthur throughout the years. So you do get a little piece of Arthur history as well. But apparently, on his third episode of Finding DW, which I do have it right over here, it is called Why is DW Written So Well? Apparently, this is where the bombshell actually originated, where fudge. Suddenly the name just escapes me. It's Jason, right? I'm talking about him, and yet suddenly it's like now my mind just decided, okay, the name, it's gone. But anyways, yes. So Jason was actually talking with one of the producers and one of the screenwriters, Kathy Wog, in which they actually talked about DW and talk about the writing process of how to create a character such as DW and what would they do in the scenarios, like how would they go and write DW. However, there actually is a certain part where Kathy actually made the big reveal that apparently they were finished with Arthur, that it was 2 years ago that they finished production, that they had their wrap party, and that they're currently no longer working on any more Arthur episodes. They are still doing some Arthur PSAs, but in terms of the main series, that seems to be done. In fact, let's go and have a little bit of a listen, since I already got that ready. So let's hear that little excerpt confirming about Arthur's end.
I've always wondered what it would be like to talk to the kid who is currently playing the part of DW. When I brought that up to Kathy to talk about her current involvement with the production of Arthur, I learned some crushing news.
Well, Arthur is no longer in production. We had our wrap party 2 years ago.
What?
Yes.
But okay, hang on. Sorry, the reason why I'm surprised is because one of the first things I did was look up, is there a kid who's still playing DW? And there was a kid recently cast. I'm so surprised to hear this. This is devastating.
The series here, and I think they've made a mistake. And PBS, and I think I think Arthur should come back. And I know I'm not alone in thinking they made a mistake. I don't know. I don't pay attention that much to things like ratings. So I don't know if it was a ratings issue or if it just felt like it needed to be retired. So to me, it just felt like an evergreen, like it was never going to end, but it did end. We finished the last episode, season 25. 2 years ago, there was a wrap party, all of that. However, PBS, and I wrote a couple of the scripts, decided to do some PSAs on various issues like voting, like hand washing, pandemic related issues. And I used the Arthur characters, so they're still around. They're still, as far as I understand, not all the shows have aired. There's still a few yet to be aired, but they've all been produced.
check this out.
So yeah, that was apparently the major thing that Jason revealed in his latest episode, is that in Finding DW, they have revealed that Arthur was coming to an end. And it was immediately starting to circulate all around social media until the big entertainment media actually stepped in, and they did have to go and confirm that, yes, Arthur was pretty much finishing on season 25. They even went as far as to go and confirm this with the executive producer of Arthur, Carol Greenwald, in which she had to step in and say that, yes, Arthur is going to be finishing in season 25. She actually put out this statement, which I'm going to be reading here from my source on Deadline, to which it states, Arthur is the longest-running kids animated series in history and is known for teaching kindness, empathy, and inclusion through many groundbreaking moments to generations of viewers. In the winter of 2022, the 25th and final season of Arthur will debut. Arthur will continue to be available on PBS Kids for years to come. Producer GBH and PBS Kids are continuing to work together on additional Arthur content, sharing the lessons of Arthur and his friends in new ways. Is there another quote that I believe? No? Okay, so that's pretty much the big thing that we got here, that yes, Arthur is officially gonna be closing. And yeah, it's very much surprising to hear that this show is gonna actually have a major conclusion, because out of all the animated shows out there, you don't normally think about Arthur to be the one to actually have a legitimate season finale, because it's the kind of show that just kept going on and on and on and on, that you normally wouldn't think that there would actually be an end to it. You would think Arthur would probably be in the leagues of somewhere like Sesame Street, where it would just keep on going, and with every new generation, Arthur would be there to go and teach kids about some valuable lessons, while we would go and hang out with his family and friends, whether it be like DW, Buster, Binky, Brain, or whatever, or Francine, or whatever that stupid rich monkey who she was. Yeah, you know, the one that not many people actually like, the one that like she complains, "You're a richest." I forgot her name or anything like that, but Muffy, thank you. Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Muffy. I don't know if what I said was actually racist to call her that rich monkey over there. But anyways, if anyone is offended, I do apologize. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Arthur is just one of those shows that you wouldn't normally think that there would actually be an ending, because there actually is a very strong use for Arthur. It's not just any regular kids animated show, or it's not even like something like The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park or whatever. It's actually a preschool series in a way, because like the main goal is to be teaching kids about important moral values. The lesson about them are far more important than it is to go and actually tell a story. And to hear that is actually going to end, well, it is kind of sad. And from there, we don't actually have a legitimate conclusion as to why. Carol didn't actually confirm if there is any form of a reason as to why Arthur is going to be finishing, and not even Kathy actually knows if there actually is a valid reason, if we know like the statistics, or if we know like the details as to why PBS Kids decided to go and close it down. Thank you, Yami119 for the subscription, by the way. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, we don't really have a full-on explanation, because it would probably be more soothing to know as to why specifically, because for a show that's been going on for 25 years and then you would ultimately decide to go and stop it, you know, it would be worth an explanation. Maybe we will get it next year, because we still have time, but that's one thing I would love to have from PBS Kids, is a reason why Arthur is going to end, because we know it will end, but I would actually like to know if there is a valid reason, because yeah, ratings would be very common, because that's the typical reason as to why a show had to go and be canceled, or it's coming to its conclusion and stuff like that. But there is also another reason I would not be surprised to know that would be canceled, and that would be regarding any of the controversies, because yeah, Arthur is one of those shows that is actually not afraid to get into some subject matter in which it would end up getting a little bit of backlash, especially when it comes to the subject of the LGBTQIA plus community. You probably remember a few instances, like there was at one point where Buster had his own special, and we were looking at live footage, and there was at one point we saw a lesbian couple in which a lot of conservative groups got triggered and they got pissed off and they were demanding for the cancellation of Arthur. And then not too long ago, actually just a few years ago, if I may recall, this article on Deadline actually did bring it up, actually. Yeah, it was back in 2019 with the episode in which Mr. Ratburn actually got married, but he didn't just get married to anyone. He actually got married to a guy, specifically the chocolatier of the town, Patrick, in which, like, the episode handled it very well. It was great to see that Mr. Ratburn was happy with his new husband, in which they did tease in the opening, like Arthur and the gang did meet him and he was a very nice guy and stuff like that. But again, that was another one in which conservatives want to use cancel culture to go and attack Arthur, even even banning the episode from the Alabama public television, because they are desperate to try to censor anything that presents LGBT rights being okay or just being normal. But yeah, like there might be times when Arthur would get controversies. Not all the time, of course. I'm not saying like every year there's always one crazy Arthur controversy going on that would either trigger conservatives or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in recent years, especially with the pandemic, and there's a whole lot of different issues that we could get into, whether it be regarding feminism and women's rights with the hashtag #MeToo movement, or with race with Black Lives Matter, or especially with the pandemic regarding wearing masks and social distancing and staying safe and all that kind of stuff. Like, there could be a lot of material, and maybe PBS Kids just want to go and like stop all that before Arthur would get any form of ideas. That could be a reason as well. I don't know, but yeah, that's the big thing that I want to try to outline here, is that I would like to know a legitimate explanation, because it could be something as simple as ratings, or it could be something as complicated as to ensure that Arthur doesn't get into any more controversies that would trigger some sensitive conservatives and stuff like that. There could be any reason, but I would actually like to know. And there is still a lot of time as well, because like I said before, it's not like Arthur is immediately ending right now. As they stated, the 25th season is going to be starting in 2022, and then throughout that year, that's when we're going to see the final episodes of Arthur, and maybe we'll also see the big grand finale of Arthur. So who knows what's going to happen there, but yeah, it will be interesting. But I would like to know about, honestly, I would like to know if there is a legitimate explanation. But then again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to be the end of Arthur, period, that we're never going to see Arthur again. Because like Kathy stated, apparently they are still working on some Arthur episodes. Like, technically, they finished all the main episodes 2 years ago, which technically that would mean that they finished everything before the pandemic happened. But in this case here, considering that they finished all the Arthur episode, but they're still doing more Arthur stuff. They're still making more Arthur content. Even just recently, we have seen Arthur, Arthur specials, I guess you could say, or Arthur cartoons or whatever, in which Arthur would go and discuss about current issues, rather it be stuff like, I believe they did a Black Lives Matter episode, like discussing racism. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they actually did something like that. But I do know that they also have a recent episode in which they do talk about wearing masks, and they talk about pandemic issues. So Arthur is still going to be around around to talk about current situations, to be teaching new generations about doing the right thing, as well as the tradition of teaching kids about empathy, inclusion, friendship, and all that kind of stuff. So Arthur will still be around, but not with the main show, especially if PBS Kids is still going to be re-airing all those old episodes. I mean, like, with 25 years of content, I'm sure there is no shortage of like filling any of the timelines with all those old episodes. So I think they really are covered with that. But yeah, overall though, I will say that this is actually very much shocking because, like I said earlier, it's one of those things that you never think would happen because it's been going on for so long. Hell, freaking Arthur is almost as old as I am, so that really does say a lot. But then, like, now you hear that it is going to end. It's just a massive shock. And even for someone like me, like, I actually used to watch Arthur. Like, I was there, like, since the very, very beginning. I remember when those first episodes would actually air, and from time to time, I would actually watch those old Arthur episodes. Like, I don't do it now, but I do remember a part of my childhood where I would actually watch Arthur episodes, and I would actually go and even read some Arthur books, where the art style, I will say, oh boy, it's much different than the Arthur that we got here. I will say, like, honestly, I much prefer this Arthur than some of the early designs of Arthur, because if you don't believe me, you can go and look it up. But the old designs of Arthur, they kind of scare me because they really emphasize the aardvark part. And if you don't know what I mean, like, you see how Arthur has this, like, nice round head? Yeah, well, imagine if you go and elongate that head. Like, he has a legit full-on snout. It's honestly uncomfortable to look at. So, yeah, like, Arthur used to be all about, like, mainly being an aardvark before just being a kid that is just a tiny bit anthropomorphized. But yeah, all this to say that I used to watch Arthur. I used to be a big fan of Arthur when I was a child, when I was like a part of that target demographic that Arthur was going for. And a lot of valuable lessons that I learned actually did come from Arthur, and really enjoyed a lot of my time watching the show, rather it be like hanging out with Buster. I think Buster was actually one of my favorite characters, or my favorite character in general, or even be mad at like whatever stupidity came from like DW or Binky. Like, back when Binky was just a bully, like back when like he only had that one character trait. Like, I know nowadays Binky's character like vastly evolved from time, but there was a moment when like Binky was just known as the bully, and that's it. So overall though, it is sad to hear, but then again, like, it had a good run, especially the fact that it went on for a total of 25 seasons. That is a major accomplishment. So yeah, it's going to be sad to see Arthur go, but and maybe it is for the best. And whatever will be the next big children's show that will go and teach kids about those same kind of morals, like friendship, empathy, inclusion, being nice, and all that kind of stuff, I wish them the best of luck. It's going to be hard for any other kids show to fill in the shoes of Arthur, but, hopefully there will be. I do hope there will be another show that will go and teach Arthur those same morals, and that with Arthur himself, that he will still continue teaching those lessons. So may the Arthur legacy continue on, and hopefully there will be another show that can continue the spirit of Arthur. I think that's the best way to put it. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the whole news regarding the end of Arthur? Are you guys shocked about this? Are you guys upset? Do you wish that Arthur wasn't canceled? Are you on the side of Kathy on this one, that PBS Kids made a mistake? Let me know what you think on this. All right, let's see now. I only consider myself a modest fan of Arthur, though I love the memes and Peanut Butter Gamer's videos, and I never thought it'd be something that I could ever see a finale, seeing how it lasted so long. I particularly loved the April 9th episode, since the subject matter was kind of ballsy. So with that said, I bid the show farewell, and the team the best wishes. Also, I will be kicking myself if I don't make this reference, so... sad mom. I know what you're talking about with that one, dude. Yeah, I guess it's safe to say that Peanut Butter Gamer is one of, if not the biggest and most popular Arthur fan out there. So it is like, at least like with this new generation of the internet and YouTube and memes and stuff like that, like there are going to be ways for Arthur, for his legacy to survive, especially like with that one meme where you see Arthur like just clenching his fist ready to just punch DW. Oh my god, I'm sure that episode must have been so satisfying for everyone. Like there are times like, yeah, you just want to punch DW. It doesn't matter how old she is. You just like you're ready to just smack her a new one. Hopefully, like just smack her brain right so that hopefully empathy can be punched right into her. I'm just saying. Okay. What else do we have here? It's time to say farewell to another legend. I used to watch Arthur as a kid, and it was one of my favorite preschool cartoons, along with Max and Ruby and Cyber Chase. Hearing the news that Arthur is getting canceled is pretty sad. I'll always remember the wonderful times I've had with Arthur. Oh well, at least we won't see any more DW anytime soon. Well, that will depend, and I mean, honestly, it would actually be great to see more DW just for those PSAs. So like you would just see DW, and the whole PSA would be, don't be like freaking DW. Don't be like this little turd right over here. Be a responsible human being. Actually learn to think, unlike this little turd right over here. Like DW, like at this point, if she's gonna act like this, then you might as well treat her like a ball, you know? Treat her like a soccer ball, and you're ready for the goal, you know what I mean? Goal! Okay, what else do we have here? It does feel pretty jarring that the Arthur show is coming to an end. I guess it is not only because that Arthur has lasted for so many years, but also how popular it is for people of all ages. Not to mention all of the memes. Thankfully, as you said, it won't be the end of Arthur. As they said, they're still working on some stuff with Arthur. It kind of feels like saying goodbye to a childhood friend you will never see again. I think you really nailed it there. I think that's what it feels like. You're just saying goodbye to an old friend. Like you're hearing an old childhood friend. They're going to be leaving for life, and it's going to be time to say goodbye. It's something that you never thought about for so long, but now that it is happening, it's like it kind of like there is a part of you that like it kind of hurts emotionally. Like there's just something inside you. It's just it hurts. That's what it feels like. Let's see now. Honestly, I've only watched a few episodes of Arthur in its French version, but I never hooked with the concept and the characters. We only had a few PBS shows ported to French television, alongside Clifford the Big Red Dog. I have no other feelings towards the end of the show. Okay. Well then. What else do we have? While it is a shame that the series is coming to an end, but 25 is a dang good run, and it will be remembered as a children's classic. Hate to jinx it, but I bet there might be a reboot that would be in a totally different style and tone, so if it does happen, blame me to hell for jinxing it. I don't know, actually, because I could be wrong, but PBS Kids is not one of those stations that is known for continuously making reboots. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like they're like, especially nowadays when making animated reboots for TV shows is like kind of all the range now. But I would highly doubt if there would legitimately be an Arthur reboot that is commanded by PBS Kids. I kind of doubt that. At the most, like, if there is an Arthur show that would come back that isn't Arthur, I can imagine it would be more like some kind of spin-off. Like, I know it would sound crazy, like actually make a DW series where she learns not to be a piece of crap, or like maybe a series based on Buster or whatever like that. But like if they would do a legit Arthur reboot, I kind of doubt it. Let's see. I'll read 2 more comments before we jump into the next story. Let's see. It has been sad that this well-known preschool show is gone. I remember watching this show growing up on programs like Netflix and PBS Kids as a 5-year-old with autism, as well as hearing about the gay rat burn episode controversy on your podcast. It was uncomfortable. But then again, I just need to say, after all these years, how the hell is Arthur still freaking 11 years old? Probably the same reason why Bart, Lisa, and Maggie are still very young to this day, and why The Simpsons have to constantly rewrite their backstory to go and fit in with the modern times. I did remember hearing that apparently there was a recent episode in which they go into Homer's backstory, but this time being a 90s kid, and just looking at the pictures of those alone, it was honestly not just jarring, but just very much uncomfortable to look at, where we are at the point where they gotta The Simpsons have to rewrite their own history to fit with the way that they are still their age to this day. It was just so weird. Anyways, I'll read one more comment here. It was pretty sad to hear that Arthur is coming to an end. I used to watch Arthur when I was a kid. The episodes I remember were Arthur's spelling trouble and Arthur's lucky pencil. Even the show is over, it will continue to air on PBS Kids for many years to come and get new kids to know about Arthur. I think it is safe to say that it was a not so wonderful kind of day. Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes that's just a part of life. And depending on the perspective, death can be a wonderful kind of day as well. And I mean, yeah, it's sad to see Arthur is going to be leaving, but that is just from the perspective of people who are still going to be leaving on, like you, who are still going to live on, like you and me. And as for Arthur, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people, especially those in the crew, they are going to disagree with it, but maybe there is a part of it where it's probably for the best for Arthur to go and, to give its crown to be one of the leading children's programs to teach kids about empathy and inclusion, and to hand it over to another show for the next generation to learn about these important morals. There is that. So, congratulations to Arthur on those amazing 25 years and for those amazing 25 seasons, and hopefully your legacy will continue to live on. All right, folks, now for the next batch of stories that I have here, it is, of course, trailer time. And for the first trailer that I have over here, technically it is on something that you can actually go and check out right now, because it was a very weird thing that HBO Max actually did, where they put out the trailer literally the day before this show would actually be released. And even though the show is out now, maybe some of you have seen it, and maybe you don't necessarily have any good words to speak about it, or maybe that you do, but I just feel like with the whole situation with this series, I feel like it's honestly really worth talking about. So, with that said, let us go ahead and actually check out the trailer for HBO Max's latest animated series, The Prince.
I know some of you are anxious. Some of you are frightened. But together, we will succeed.
I would like a treat. I would like a treat. The Queen would like a treat.
Excuse me, do you have any tea that doesn't taste like piss? Thanks. Owen, let's go over my day tomorrow.
You have school?
I don't know why I'm auditioning with you guys. I doubt anyone else here is even a tenor.
We're all tenors. We're 7.
A play date.
Glad you could make it.
And snack.
Oi, tea! Thank you.
Okay, that kid freaks me out.
You received a postcard from your Uncle Harry and Aunt Megan in LA.
Let me see that.
This might be the smallest palace I've ever been in.
Well, it's an apartment.
Yes, an apartment palace, I know that. Lots of tiny palaces inside one big palace.
Great. I feel a shit brewing.
Hey, Charlotte.
Hi, George. Oh, is that French toast?
Why? Do I look fat? I mean, yes.
I want to be king. She's had her go. Now it's my turn. I'm not a little boy any longer. I don't have to go running whenever she...
Charles, hurry up. We're leaving.
Coming, Mummy.
Look at me. I work harder than anyone around here.
Sweetheart, you have no idea how much work it is.
Boy, keep it moving.
To be the head of a state, family, and syndicate.
I think this playdate is a big success.
Oh, certainly, sir. I haven't had this much fun.
Okay, well, of course it's more fun than whatever life event you were about to reference. Your life's a low bar.
I got you.
So yeah, hope you all had a laugh, because you would be the first that I would know who actually did laugh at this. That was The Prince, which you can actually go and check it out right now on HBO Max. And one thing that I will say is that I know a lot of people would be immediately comparing this to Family Guy. Like, even like on social media, I actually did a little bit of a joke about it, like doing that Family Guy at home meme, but in like an obnoxious British Cockney accent, like, "Oi, ma'am, may we watch Family Guy? We have Family Guy at home." Meanwhile, Family Guy at home is actually the Prince. But yeah, honestly, that would be the one thing I would actually go and give it a pass. Like, yeah, because the whole thing really does feel like Family Guy, especially the animation style, and kind of the family itself is kind of built in this Family Guy kind of way, including the Prince himself, like the main character, the kid. I forgot his name, by the way. Prince George. Like, Prince George himself, like, he has a bit of that Stewie style attitude. But I would give that a pass, because technically the show's creator, Gary Janetti, he's actually he was actually a big part of Family Guy. Like, I believe he's still working on Family Guy to this day as like one of the creative producers and stuff like that. So of course a lot of what he has learned was from the decades of experience that he had with Family Guy. So that, honestly, I'm not that surprised, and that I could go and give it a pass, because there are still ways that you can legitimately take that Family Guy format and you could actually make that entertaining. In fact, Seth MacFarlane himself, well, he had a few hit and misses, like trying to do that format. Like, it didn't really work out that well with the Cleveland show, but then again, it actually did work out with American Dad. So that is not my problem with this. Everything else, however, man, that is a major problem. Like, oh, holy crap. That, like, I don't know where to even begin. Actually, you know what? The first thing I want to say is that, holy crap, many of these character designs, they are godforsaken frightening. Like, a lot of these, honestly, they scare me. Like, yeah, you got a few characters that may look a bit like Family Guy, and I understand the idea of caricatures. Like, sometimes you got to go and exaggerate some of the features in order to represent who you're trying to show. Like, who is the celebrity that the drawing is trying to imitate. And I know I already talked about this a little bit on a previous episode, like when they first announced the Prince and stuff like that. But in here, however, a lot of these, they're actually terrifying. Like, okay, like, some of the women are not that bad. Like, okay, Kate, like Duchess Kate, she's not that bad, but then again, she does look like a 70-year-old with a lot of Botox. And I will say, another one that I find to be not so bad would be Meghan Markle. Sheila, like, I think out of everyone, Meghan Markle is the one who actually got a pass. Like, that's the one where her caricature, like, it came out okay. It came out in a way that it actually does look pretty decent. It actually does look, okay, it's not that bad. But then you got some of the boys, and oh man, like, right over here, here's Prince Harry, which a lot of people say he's a dreamboat, but not in here. I don't know what they did with this design, but there's just something about it that just looks frightening here. It's just, this Prince Harry is just no. I'm not a fan of this Prince Harry. And technically you could say, like, maybe the kids, they're not that bad. Like, okay, well, the kids are kids, you know, and like George, okay, he got a pass. He still looks like a little bit of a Family Guy kid. But if I would have to go and point out who I believe to be the most horrifying design, well, okay, like there is one that I would say is actually pretty close. Like you got Prince Charles over here. Like he's still alive in this show, and like he just looks like he's just one step away from looking like a Haunted Mansion ghost. So there is him, but one that I would have to say is much worse is freaking Prince William. Oh my god, I hate this thing. This crap scares me. Get this crap away from me. Because the thing is, like, when you look at this, because apparently this is just his regular neutral face, I just feel like, no, there's no way this is supposed to be Prince William. To me, this actually looks more like a blend of Michael Eisner and a Nutcracker. And that's what you pretty much get. Like, you might as well go and, like, get your cashews, get your walnuts ready. Like, maybe this, like, Michael Eisner cracker will go and open it up for you so you can get the little snack that's inside. I don't know. This thing scares me. I don't like this. This crap needs to go away. So already, many of the designs I'm just not a fan of. So yeah, there's already a part of that just makes me feel uncomfortable. Also, another thing I will say, and this is just from watching the trailer alone. Now, keep in mind, one thing I would like to emphasize is that I have yet to actually see any episodes of this show. I have yet to actually see anything from the Prince. But so far, from what we've seen in terms of like the gags in this whole thing, honestly, I can't really find anything here that's actually funny. Like I could actually notice some of the Family Guy style humor that they had, like especially like at the end when you got this moment over here, like when you got the butler who was about to reminisce something.
Oh, certainly, sir. I haven't had this much fun. Okay, well, of course it's more fun than whatever life event you were about to reference.
Yeah, like there was that moment, but like honestly, a lot of this, like, it feels like a lot of lowball humor, and a lot of the jokes are just related to the fact that they are, you know, they're the royals and that they're stupidly rich and stuff like that. So that feels like the grand majority of the punchline, or like at least that's what it feels like in terms of the punchlines that we got in this trailer is that they're just stupidly rich, and look how funny that they're not like you and me and all that kind of stupid crap. Like that feels like the grand majority of the humor that they would go and deliver in this, and especially with the way that they got Prince George being the star of all this, and like even though he's still acting like an adult, he is still like this very young kid. So there is still that factor that would be copied from Family Guy, but overall, I don't know. For me, the jokes in this trailer here, they just don't land. But then there is the third reason, and this is the biggest reason why this show is getting some serious backlash. Believe me when I say that people are hating on this series. In fact, like on this YouTube video here, like on the official HBO Max YouTube channel of The Prince, yeah, you could see from the like and dislike bar that even though the likes do actually have the majority, the dislikes, oh boy, they're almost trying to make this a bit like 50-50, you know what I mean? But yeah, honestly, the biggest reason why this is actually getting a lot of backlash is actually because of the fact that they are making fun of real life people, or more specifically, the fact that this show is exploiting a child. That technically the main star of all this, the prince, the title prince of this show, is actually a real life kid. Like a kid who's not even 10 years old, and yet here is this show trying to really exploit the popularity of it, to really go and capitalize on the whole gossip-like attention that the royals are getting. And that is a step that I must agree as well is just way too far. Like, okay, if you want to go and make a satirical show based on the royals, fine. You can go and do that. You want to go and make fun of Kate and William or Meghan and Harry, or you want to make fun of the Queen or whatever. You want to do all that kind of stuff. Like, you can go and do that. Do whatever you like, but leave the kids out of this. Like, no matter what it is, whatever kind of satire show you want to do or satirical thing, like, if it has like, if it is celebrities that do have kids, then leave the kids out of it. They don't need that kind of attention, and they don't need that kind of treatment that the adults would go and usually get, because there is a part of it that's just absolutely heartless and cruel. Because yeah, sure, Prince George, like, he is still a part of the royals, and in his future he is legitimately going to be the King of England. But then again, you do have to keep in mind that for now, he is still just a kid, and let him have a childhood, let him have a regular childhood without enforcing that celebrity status onto him. That's just not cool. And it doesn't matter who it is. Don't do that to any celebrity kids out there. Like, don't go and try to enforce that celebrity status or try to get that gossip-like treatment onto the kids. I don't care who it is. Even in terms of the Trump, I know, like, even in terms of the Trumps, I don't care what you would do with the Trumps. Like, you could compare them to ISIS and Al-Qaeda as much as you want. You could go and make fun of Donald, of Melania, of Junior, of Eric, of Ivanka. That's perfectly okay. You guys know very well that I'm not shy to go and do that myself. But whatever you do, frickin' leave Barron out of this, all right? He is still a minor technically, so put him out of the picture. He has nothing to do with any of the Nazism and the white supremacy that the Trumps are trying to enforce onto America. So yeah, you can make fun of all those people. You could demand for their arrest and all that kind of stuff and their downfall, and like just wish that all the Trumps can be homeless just like any Trump supporter, but leave Barron out of this, all right? That kid has nothing to do with any of the American Nazism that's currently happening right now. And it's the same thing here. Like, honestly, this show should have seriously left, they should have left George out of this, because there is that cruel factor that it really does feel like it's just exploiting a child. And that's exactly what this show is doing. And that's honestly not cool. And there is also that extra factor where, like, there are some things that feel like it is just way too soon. Like, one thing that I'm sure a lot of people would be mad about is the fact that technically this show still has Prince Charles. And you guys know that it was not too long ago that Prince Charles actually passed away. I mean, yeah, like, it already felt like even when he was alive, like, it did feel like he was already getting the rigor mortis set in, even when, like, he's still up and at it. But still, though, the fact that they still have Prince Charles walking around. No, not Prince Charles. Sorry, I meant Prince Philip. I'm sorry I made that confusion. But yeah, well, whatever. I'm not even into I'm not even into the royals. But you guys know what I mean. Like, they still have Prince Philip just up and walking around. So, like, honestly, the fact that they still have him on board, yeah, there is a part of it that is a little bit tasteless. And I'm sure that for some people who are still really into the royals, they would not be happy to see someone like Prince William. Son of a fish, there's too many princesses in these royals, but they wouldn't be happy to see Prince Philip still being around the show and being mocked at. So there is still that aspect that's just not really cool. So overall, it just feels like a very tasteless show, especially with the way that they're just exploiting a kid, that they're just exploiting the gossip of the royals and stuff like that. There's just nothing about this that feels appealing, especially with these kinds of designs. So, I would even say if there is one thing that is worse than the designs here, it would have to be the way that they're trying to capitalize on the whole gossip-like attention that the royals are getting, especially with the young prince himself, especially with Prince George. So yeah, honestly, I don't approve of this. I haven't actually seen any of the episodes. Like, maybe it's funny, I don't know, but honestly, with all the intentions and with what they're doing with this show, honestly, I'm not on board with this. This just feels very tasteless. So, with that said, I think it is now time that I will go and pass the mic on to you, chat wall, and I would like to ask, what do you think about this trailer here of the Prince? Did you guys actually enjoy this trailer? Did you guys not like it? And especially if you have actually seen any episodes of The Prince on HBO Max, what did you think about it? Let me know what you think. Okay, so, what do we got here? There we go. Okay, so just to make sure I see it. All right. The show seems full on offensive. The animation looks absolutely cheap. The humor is absolutely unfunny, and I definitely agree that it is pretty disgusting that they would exploit a child to help promote a show. If you want my advice, if you have HBO Max, watch Jellystone instead. You'll thank me later. Yeah, honestly, at this point, it's like, you got this show going on, and suddenly people are like, you know what? Maybe Jellystone is not all that bad. Like I have actually yet to see any episodes of Jellystone, and I am aware of some of the controversial aspects. Not as controversial as The Prince, but the way that they really did change up a lot of the iconic characters. Some people are not necessarily all that cool with, but even at that, though, that is still like whatever thing that they would do, whatever changes they did to the Hanna-Barbera characters, that is perfectly fine compared to some of the things that they would do in this show. So yeah, like if you would have the choice, please go and check out Jellystone instead. All right. Anyways, let's see what we got here. Oh, great. We're getting yet another animated adult comedy with an art style similar to Family Guy. How many of these do we actually need? I'll tell you the answer, 0. And this is even worse than some of them, as this is pretty much mocking the British royal family, most notably Prince George, who is still just a freaking kid, which is just a big no. Just no! I will not just skip this, but I will try my best to just forget that this even exists. Well, I mean, you will try, until you got like some cartoon reviewers out there who will go and get and put their hands onto this thing. You never know. Like, I can imagine that even though, yeah, this looks like a terrible show, but this looks like able to have a lot of materials for cartoon reviewers to work with. So don't be surprised if there is actually someone out there that would go and legitimately make a legit review of The Prince. Anyways, what do we got here? To quote Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle, I expect nothing and I'm still let down. The character designs are pretty awful. Hell, Prince William looks like a dildo. Don't say that, please. Don't say that. I mean, just look at him. Do you think any woman would want to shove this thing on their insides? No, I don't know. We don't want that freaking Michael Eisner special. No. That's disgusting, man. Like, in any other situation, that's fine, but especially when we are dealing with this kind of monstrosity, no woman would want to go and use that toy. I'm just saying. Anyways, the animation itself looks pretty stilled and go animate-esque, and the comedy as well, for lack of a better term, not funny, didn't laugh. So this is something I won't find myself viewing. I can't think of a good closer, so Purple Monkey Dishwasher. It makes no sense, but hey, at least it's funnier than this. Actually, that's the sad thing about it, is that he is absolutely right. Like, just say Purple Monkey Dishwasher is funnier than any kind of humor that they're actually presenting in this trailer. Let's see now. As a Brit, I am full-on offended. If you said Prince George being characterized as a total jerk and the rest of the royal family is stupid, that is just sickening. This should have been a show about Meghan and Harry, since they are the ones who should be made fun of. Oh boy, that is a pretty hot take there. I don't know if any of my viewers or any of my listeners are like, I don't know if they're interested in the royals at all, but I can imagine this is still a pretty hot take. But anyways, if you want a better show, watch Spitting Image, or the proper Family Guy ripoff being Full Image. Okay, well then, let's see now. If there is one word to describe The Prince, it's cheesy. Cheesy animation, cheesy characters except for George, cheesy jokes, basically everything so far is just cheesy. I'll give it and say that it's not necessarily a Family Guy knockoff, but still, that still makes it tasteless. I really don't think it's going to be my cup of British tea. See what I did there? You know the funny thing is, that person right there probably wrote the most positive review I have seen of The Prince so far. Like, so far, this one is the most positive. Even though he's saying it's cheesy, like, that's still better words than some other ones. Let's see now. I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story. I have not seen the show myself, but this trailer really left me a poor taste. Outside of trying to be like Family Guy, the animation is crap, the humor is not funny, wasted talented cast such as Orlando Bloom and Sophie Turner, bad timing with Prince Philip passing away, and very bad exploitation of Prince George, who is only a freaking child. Seriously, leave the kid out of this because this makes me not want to see this series at all. Just out of curiosity, nobody has actually seen the episodes? Okay, yeah. Yep, I don't think anyone has seen it, but then again, maybe it is for the best. So, yeah, if you ever are curious to see this kind of disaster, well, keep in mind that it's on HBO Max right now, so yeah. As one of the comments said, not my British cup of tea. Not my cup of British tea, sorry. Okay, so I think we need a little bit of a palate cleanser to wash off that awful taste from watching The Prince. So with our next story, we actually got a series that's going to be coming soon, another series, but this time it's actually going to be on Netflix. And what coincidence that this is actually coming up, considering that not too long ago, I did do a review of the movie that it is technically based on, or rather the movie that is actually the pilot for this show in particular. So with that said, let us now go and check out our next trailer, which is going to be I Heart Arlo. So let's go and check that one out.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Good morning, bird. Another beautiful day in Seaside by the seashore. My new home.
I'm glad you're settling in. It can be lonely living on your own for the first time.
That little swamp baby is gone. I'm super independent now. I brush my teeth at least once a month.
Great.
We're all equally disgusting. Don't look at me, honey. I'm flawless.
We're living in this community. We're taking it to the top. We're gonna bring you all with us. My pizza is only appreciated by the finest of palates.
Yeah, this is a fancy person's nightmare.
It's all gonna be okay. That's the beauty of Seaside. Everyone fits in, no matter who you are or what you do. We're cool with it. I think the way you see the world is really cool. You notice things the rest of us forget to appreciate. Woohoo! Yeah!
You're doing a great job just by being yourself. I'm proud of you.
I love you, Arlo.
Let's do it. For Seaside.
For Seaside.
Help, help, I can't let go. Its strength is otherworldly. Yeah, the pizzeria needs the most work.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
So yeah, that was I Heart Arlo, the new series that is based on Arlo the Alligator Boy, which did premiere on Netflix early this year, which it will be coming out at the end of this month on August 27th. And one thing I will say, like, in order to start this off, I might as well go and give you a little recap on my opinion on Arlo the Alligator Boy, because I actually did do a review. So in case you haven't seen it, for me, I would say Arlo is a very mixed bag that ultimately results in something that is, something that I would say it's decent at best. Because there are some things that I will say it was a surprise, because there are a few elements that are actually done very, very well. Like, there are moments when the hand-drawn animation is actually very good. Like, there are times when it seems like they did take a lot of shortcuts and it seems more like Flash animation-y. But then there are times when the animation is smooth. The animation is very nice, especially during the musical numbers. That, and also, I would say the voice acting is top-notch. Even though it's not one of the best animated films this year, it is one of the best voice acting casts that we actually got for an animated film this year, so I will give it that. And also the music, I will say, not all of them are greatly memorable, but when you do listen to them, they are surprisingly catchy. Like, there is no denying that the music is actually some of the best parts of the feature. I would say that, like, Arlo the Alligator Boy actually serves better as, like, a music video compilation more so than just a feature film itself. But then again, there are also some things that I'm just not on board as much, especially when it comes to the writing. Because my biggest problem with Arlo the Alligator Boy is that I feel like it's trying to be so many different things other than being its own thing. Like, there are too many elements where I feel like it's trying too much to be like Elf, or it's trying too much to be like The Muppet Movie, or it's trying too much to be like Gumball and stuff like that. Like, it's trying to be so many things and try to combine them all together, but it still feels like a mishmash of different things that we have already seen instead of actually its own thing. So that's why for me it is a massively mixed bag. Like, I do understand that it does have a little bit of its fan base and that those people who did like Arlo, they really did love it, but for me it's just it's not bad. I won't say that it is a bad movie, but I've seen a whole lot better, and I do feel like there are better alternatives that you could watch on Netflix instead. So, with that said, honestly, watching this trailer, I kind of feel just that. I kind of feel like with I Heart Arlo, it's just, And I feel like it really does depend on how you do feel about the movie if you want to really go and enjoy this series in particular. Like, one thing I will say I was a little bit disappointed by is the fact that you may notice the animation is not as strong as the movie. And I mean, that is a very common case when it comes to animated shows based on movies. Generally, their animation is not as strong as the feature film that they would present. So yeah, like, I wasn't expecting, like, that great feature quality, smooth animation to be present here, but still, though, like, this type of animation is just like, you notice that there is a little bit of a downgrade. Not saying that the animation is terrible here, but that's what it is. I think that's the best way to put it, is that you do notice that, like, throughout the trailer that we have seen, there is a little bit of that downgrade in terms of the animation. Like, even if they would go and introduce a whole lot of different characters, including like this, this shrimp lobster woman that's like coming in, and like you'll get a whole bunch of new characters that will be entering in the world of Arlo and stuff like that. Even though you would have that, I don't know. It's just like, visually, it is a little bit of a letdown after going through Arlo, because like I said, the animation in certain moments, they really can be the best moments of the feature. And like, other than that, I will say, like, another thing that is just really meh for me, like, really feeling like this melting frog, like, the humor, like, it is a step up compared to The Prince, but still, it's just another one where it's just, like, there are a lot of times when it's trying to be funny and when it's trying to be heartfelt, and they don't really capture that well for me. There is one exception, though. I will admit, I actually did laugh at the last joke when we see Arlo and the gang, where they did admit, like, the pizzeria needs a lot of work. Like, okay, that part, I will say that was actually funny. That I did laugh at. But other than that, it's just, I mean, like, I can see where it does have a little bit of a heart where it wants to actually be, like teaching kids good morals. It wants to be, teaching kids about, like a little bit teaching the same morals as Arthur, about teaching about inclusion, about acceptance, about empathy, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it does have a bit of a heart, and I will give that credit, okay? So, like, it would have a little bit of a soul, so there is that. I will give it to it, but other than that, it's just, there's just not a lot of it that just gel as well for me. There's just nothing about it that really is appealing to me to make me go and watch it. And yeah, overall, I just feel like with this trailer in particular, it's pretty much telling me that with I Heart Arlo, the only people that are really going to get on board with it are those that actually really liked the movie. If you are a fan of the feature, if you really like the film, if you love the animation, you love the music, and you do enjoy the characters, then I think this show is definitely for you. Like, in fact, if you would tell me you actually like Arlo, then I do recommend you do check out I Heart Arlo, because this is meant to be like the big extension, and you do have some of the elements that do seem like they are coming back. Like, you do have the voice cast that is going to be returning to this, which is great, because like I said, I did love the voice cast in the movie, and it looks like it's also going to be a musical as well. So who knows, maybe we will actually get some pretty solid musical numbers also. But honestly, for me, I would say that, yeah, this show is not really for me, because I didn't really get really into Arlo the Alligator Boy in the first place. But if you are a fan of Arlo the Alligator Boy, then yeah, like, this show would definitely be for you. Not the worst thing I've seen, but it's there. I think that's the best way to put it. It's, for me, it's there. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and ask you all, what do you think of I Heart Arlo? Is this a show that you would be interested in? If you have seen the movie, what's your opinion on it, and how do you feel about this? Let me know what you all think about I Heart Arlo. Let's see. This series does look like a lot of fun. As someone who did enjoy Arlo the Alligator Boy and thought it was a fun and charming movie, I'm looking forward to seeing it. While the animation is a bit of a downgrade, it seems like it could keep a lot of the elements that made the film enjoyable, like the musical numbers, so overall, I'm looking forward to this. Awesome! And this show is definitely made for you, so if you love Arlo, that is awesome. Then I'm sure you'll also like I Heart Arlo as well, because it really does seem like it's going to be delivering what you got in that movie and put that as a series. So definitely, so yeah, for you, awesome. At least it'll have an audience. Let's see. I'll admit, I really like the movie, and as a fan of the movie, this looks pretty decent. Not great, but decent. I'm looking forward to this series. Also, I was suspecting this trailer to come out next, like when Jimmy Neutron and Barnyard did. Yeah, honestly, one thing I will say is that I am surprised that it did take a while for this series to actually come out, because it's been a long time. It's been like, what, since May or something like that? It's been like, or not even May, like or I think like April? Like, it's been a good few months, and I know that this show was actually going to be coming soon, so I was expecting that the show would come out not long after the movie, like after all the hype. It's like, okay, now that we had our fun with the movie, here, you can have more fun with the TV show. But yeah, honestly, I was pretty surprised that it came out it came out like just now and not like beforehand. All right, let's see what else we got. I haven't watched the original movie, but looking at this, well, to its credit, the voice acting is really good, and I did laugh at the end. But the problem is just that an animated series based on a cartoon, and that's all it is. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch this, but like you said, it's there. Yeah, and I think, like, in a way, depending on how you view it, it's like a little bit both. It's a blessing and a curse. It really depends on how much you like the movie in order to go and watch this series. Like, if you haven't seen the movie, or if you're not really fond of the movie, then it's going to be hard for you to find any strong appeal to I Heart Arlo, or at least enough to make you go and actually watch it. So that's going to be a major obstacle there. Let's see now. I enjoyed the movie decently enough, and this trailer looks no different. The animation is still pretty solid, the jokes are quite fun, except merciless twerking, I can't defend that, and I still enjoy the music. If I've got nothing else to do, I'll definitely give this a watch. Hell, if the soundtrack is good enough, maybe I can finally get Better Life out of my head. Seriously, for a kids film meant to set up a TV series, they had no right making the song as catchy as it was. Yeah, I know how you feel, actually. I do know how you feel, because like I mentioned, the fact that the soundtrack is actually solid enough as it is, not really the most memorable soundtrack, because it still feels like the typical songs that you would hear on the radio nowadays, but they are still very good and very catchy nonetheless. But honestly, I feel the exact same way after going through Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures. I just released my review not too long ago, and even after watching all those episodes, like, there are some songs I cannot get them out of my head, like Ready As I'll Ever Be or Waiting in the Wings. Like, whoo, they are freaking epic. All right, I'll read one more comment before we jump into the two more comments actually before we go and move on to the next story. The animation is pretty fine, the songs are fun, and the characters are lovable. This movie is pretty good. Okay, so that's nice. Let's see now. I have the same feeling as you, Matt, when it comes to Arlo. For the movie itself, yeah, I agree that it tries to be all over the place at once without being its own thing, despite some good moments. For the upcoming series, it looks okay, just like the movie, but only with a bit of a downgrade. I probably won't check it out since it is not for me, so I won't be missing out all that much. Okay, and oh, I already read that, so... Alright, so I'm sure that there are already a whole lot of people that are actually excited to go and see this, so if you are actually interested in checking out I Heart Arlo, remember to mark your calendars on August 27th. Now, for our next trailer... Now, this won't be the grand finale, but this will be the last trailer that we are going to be looking upon, and I might as well be saving the best one for last. And this is actually going to be something that will be coming extremely soon. In fact, this is coming out this Friday, or at least the Friday that I am recording this. So, with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for Sony Pictures Animation's next animated movie that will be coming to Netflix, Vivo!
Come down from the tree. You can stay with me.
When it came to music, Andres and I became so in sync. Not a moment out of place. Until the letter came.
Marta.
Nothing would mean more to me than for us to sing together again.
So you guys were like a duo?
She was also the love of my life, but I never told her how I felt. All my love, I put it into a song.
You spent your life making music.
Vivo, I must deliver this song to Marta. She needs to know that I love her.
Marta, here I come.
Martha needs to hear this song, and I'm gonna get you there. Get in my bag.
Ugh.
The mission for love is on. Can I pet him?
No.
Go to town. His name's Vivo. He's a possum.
Gabby, that's a kinkajou, a.k.a. the honey bear.
Remember the size of the world.
Martha, here we go.
What are you doing?
Sometimes you gotta improvise.
Oh, no.
Come on, you can't stop now.
Hold on.
gonna do now?
I don't know, but sometimes you gotta improvise.
And she missed.
We got this, Vivo. Unbreakable bonds. That's what we got.
That love, Gabriela, that love lives forever in your heart.
So that was Vivo, which is going to be coming this Friday on August 6th. So let me just go and put it right over here. There we go. And yeah, now I've already mentioned this a few times before, but I'm going to be very honest. Amongst all the Sony animation films that they have coming soon, which does include Spider-Verse 2, Vivo is honestly the one that I have been the most excited about. Particularly the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda is coming in not just to star in the feature, but he's also providing his music and his songs to make this Sony Pictures Animation's first animated musical. And that really got me hyped up and got me all excited to know what this is going to be all about, to see what Sony Animation is going to do, especially now that they are at their prime and making their best movies so far with Spider-Verse and Mitchell's vs. the Machines. So honestly, it got me all excited. And especially the fact that I just want to say right now that there are already some reviews that have been released, and yeah, they are saying that this is a very solid feature film. I won't say that they have as like fantastic reviews as the Mitchells vs. the Machines, but so far the reception from critics is that this is very much a worthwhile. This is definitely a solid feature film. So with that said, now that we finally did get a trailer for Vivo, in which they decided to just release it the week before the movie would actually be released, or at least like just 8 days technically, if you want to really get into those specifics. But honestly, looking at this trailer, yeah, honestly, I think a lot of those expectations are going to be met. This looks like a beautiful feature film. Like, first and foremost, I gotta say, like, one thing that really does stand out well is the animation. It looks vibrant. It looks fantastic. It looks very colorful. The designs, you know, they look pretty nice. You know, you got a bit of that stylized look into it. Kind of like reminiscent to like some of the art styles that you would find in like vinyl record covers and stuff like that, when they go a little more abstract with their style, especially with the kind of music that they are presenting here. But other than that, though, it looks like it's going to embrace the animation style that it has, even going with a 2D look at times, like especially during this moment when we see Vivo's owner reminiscing about the love of his life that he had before.
Than for us to sing together again.
Yeah, like this part right over here, that looks gorgeous, I must say. You know, in fact, I would actually go as far as say that there is, like, it's not exactly that, but there is like a tiny hint of like the style that we've had before, like with soul. Like what soul is to jazz, Vivo here is like what it's trying to do with I don't know I'm not a whole music expert, as you could tell, but it's like, is this like samba or something like that? But the type of South American music that they have there, you reggae or samba or something like that. You guys get what I mean, though. Like, this actually looks pretty fantastic, and the style that they have here is just beautiful, especially in terms of the use of colors. Especially there's this one moment where you actually get into what looks like they're in Miami probably, and you see just everything about it is just so vibrant. It looks fantastic. So I gotta give it credit to that. So the animation so far, it looks extremely promising. In fact, I would even say maybe it's the most promising thing in here. And you could tell that there is a lot of elements that are also heartfelt. The voice acting, I would say, like, it's spot on as well. Like, you do get like some recognizable voices like Gloria Estefan or Lin-Manuel Miranda, especially. Like, the voice acting, really solid. They, you know, and the characters, they do look like they're a lot of fun, especially when you got Vivo hanging out with the little girl. I'm sure, like, if done right, like, oh yeah, especially this scene here, like when she opens her case and she first discovers Vivo, like this little scene, I gotta admit, is actually a lot of fun. Okay, that I will admit, like, I know it's kind of like a cliche, like to have that screaming moment, but honestly, I just love it. It's just like closing down and then reopening. Like, okay, that scene is actually funny. So like the humor is nice, the animation is amazing, and even like some of the music that you hear, of course, like that's going to be a major factor in this. Like a lot of it sounds like something that I could really get into. Like they sound like they are a lot of fun. So overall, I will say this looks extremely promising, and this could actually be another great big hit for Sony Animation. Now, with that said, though, even though I am personally very excited for this movie and that the trailer looks like it's promising me that it's actually going to be great. Actually, before I go into that, I just realized something. There is one thing I do want to mention, and this is a little bit of a criticism that I want to say, and it's not really against what the movie is presenting us in this trailer. It's more this trailer itself. It's more the trailer itself, because I don't know about you guys, but I personally feel like this trailer might be showing us a little bit too much, that it's one of those trailers that is a little bit revealing, a little too revealing in terms of what it's trying to be and what they're trying to do and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, they're trying to be a little sly to show like a few little things here and there, but yeah, I think they really revealed a whole lot of what the plot is and what they're trying to do. Like they revealed a bit too much. Like I think one thing that I will say like is a big indicator that I think I'm trying to remember, because like it went by so quickly, but yeah, it's this right over here. Like you see Vivo like giving a flower to a picture of his old owner. I don't think I have to say anything. I think we all know what this moment means. Like, I'm sure it's going to be heartfelt in the feature, but again, does this part have to be in this trailer? Because they're just revealing a little bit too much. Or even like this moment here, like you see the little girl and Vivo that are like separate. You know, like this part. You know, they're showing a little bit. That's my problem here, is that I feel like this trailer is just showing a little bit too much, so that when we do actually see the movie, there isn't going to be a whole lot of surprises. And that's one thing that I am worried about, is if this trailer does end up spoiling a little bit too much of what's going to be to come with Vivo. But either way, though, like I said, I am definitely excited to see this movie. But one thing I will say, though, is that despite the fact that I am very much excited for this, there is also a part of me that is honestly pissed off. That honestly, I am very much upset at both Netflix and Sony Pictures. Mainly because of the fact of how this movie, throughout this entire time, has been massively neglected. I mean, yeah, there have been like maybe an instance or two where we did get a little bit of attention from Vivo. Like, yeah, technically it's not our first ever look at Vivo, considering there was like that 30-second teaser that we had before. And then we also had the news about like the cast, where people such as Lin-Manuel Miranda, Gloria Estefan, and many others that are actually going to be involved with this. Like, yeah, we have heard about all of that, but very rarely, or virtually no time at all, did Netflix ever provide any form of attention, especially with the fact that this trailer here, like I said before, came out the week before the movie's release. Like, it had no time whatsoever to build up any form of hype. Like, they had to really be dependent on others to do the job for them. Like, honestly, that's what I want to know. Like, I understand Netflix has a whole bunch of stuff that they need to go and like market and advertise and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I know that like in terms of Netflix's marketing, it can often be very unorthodox. But what I want to know is, why the fridge did they wait at the last minute to go and put out the trailer of Vivo? I mean, like, a good example of what I mean is that since we did talk about I Heart Arlo in the last time here, like technically with I Heart Arlo, that's not coming in. That's not going to be coming in until like a few weeks from now. like almost a month even, considering it's going to be August 27th. And that trailer came out at the exact same time as Vivo. And yet Vivo has to be the one that they had little time whatsoever to build up any form of hype or anything like that. Like, you'd have to be like a full-on animation fan to even be aware that something like Vivo actually does exist. Or if you're a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda or something like that. Like, you really have to put in some effort to actually be aware of its existence, because Netflix is not going to do it, and especially Sony Pictures is not going to do it. And that's one thing that I'm not going to let them off the hook. Like, Sony is equally as guilty as Netflix. In fact, I would even say that Netflix is even more guilty than Netflix for not doing anything at all in terms of the marketing, because they had all the time they needed. Even before they ultimately sold it off to Netflix, they had all the time they had to go and market the feature, to put out a few teaser trailers, to do anything whatsoever to go and prep people up for the release of Vivo. They really could have done that. And yet they decided to do jack all, to pretty much pretend that it didn't exist. I'm just saying, if Sony Pictures had all the time and if they're able to go and release trailers for a Hotel Transylvania movie that nobody asked for, a completely pointless and worthless Hotel Transylvania sequel that's not even good enough to get Adam Sandler back into the movie, if they were able to go and release not one but two trailers for it, then they could have easily done so for Vivo as well. I'm just saying. Like, honestly, it just makes me pissed off for both companies, for both Sony and Netflix, for their complete neglect on this. And I know I'm getting a little bit more riled up than I should, but it's just, from what I've been seeing with this trailer, it is absolutely awesome. And it really is so shameful that they're doing nothing at all in terms of marketing, in terms of publicity, in terms of advertising, because honestly, it really does deserve it, because this has more than enough material to actually be a marketable feature to highlight and to present to people. Like, it really is a shame that this movie in particular is getting this much neglect from both its studios, both from like the company that's releasing the movie and from the company that actually made the movie. I mean, it's already bad enough that Sony neglected so much to the point of not even giving it a theatrical release and just shoving it to Netflix. So honestly, yeah, it's just like, it makes me pissed off at both of them for not caring about it. But I mean, if someone has to care about Vivo, then fine, I'll do the job myself, because so far with the trailer that they have here, it's very promising, and honestly, it makes me very excited to see this movie. So if you guys are as excited as I am to see Vivo, then keep in mind it's coming out this Friday on August 6th. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about this trailer of Vivo? Are you guys excited to go and check this out? Are you guys a little bit doubtful? Let me know what you all think about this. All right, let's see what we got. I am definitely checking this out. I'm definitely checking out this movie. The animation looks so good, beautiful. Sony has been doing great lately, so I have really high hopes of this movie with Lin-Manuel Miranda helping out big time. He makes great music, so I am going to see this on the day it comes out on Netflix, but there should be more marketing for it. Sony has done well with Spider-Verse and Mitchell's vs. the Machines, maybe even as good as Luca was. Don't screw this up, Sony. I'm counting on you. Yeah, so hopefully Vivo will go more into a direction with Mitchell's, more so than like with Wish Dragon and what would most likely be with Hotel Transylvania 4. All right, anyways, wow, talk about a Lin-Manuel Miranda monkey to make a pretty epic movie. The story sounds like it's going to have a twist, have some twists and turns. The animation is abstractly great, the characters are pretty funny, and the music is grand and engaging. I gotta say, Sony Animation, or Sony Innovation, is really improving after their critical disaster that was the Emoji Movie. Of course, we'll be checking it out with my family on Netflix. All right. Let's see now. Lin-Manuel Miranda is on a roll with his animated films this year. Netflix and Sony needs to give this more attention because this looks like this is going to be a blast. Not as much as Mitchell's vs. the Machines, but still looks like a blast. The animation is beautiful, the characters are great so far, the songs sound absolutely amazing. I'm hyped up for this movie along with Encanto. All right, sounds good. This trailer looks absolutely amazing. Lin-Manuel Miranda has always been known for making amazing musical numbers, and this film is no exception. The animation looks absolutely gorgeous, the story does seem very heartwarming, and the music is absolutely amazing and catchy. However, I am honestly incredibly disappointed and upset that Sony Pictures Animation and Netflix hasn't been promoting this movie that much. If anything, Sony feels like they're more busy focusing on promoting Hotel Transylvania. Yeah, that really does seem the case, ironically enough. Like, maybe because they desperately wanted to go and make that a bigger deal because that's going to be released on the big screen, but still, that is no excuse whatsoever. Even, like, before when they were planning to put Vivo out on the big screen, like, before they sold it on Netflix, why didn't they give Vivo more attention? Seriously, there's something that feels very suspicious with what Sony Animation is doing with Netflix. I don't know. I feel like with this kind of collaboration, maybe it might be short-lived, but if this continues, then I feel like there might be a pretty dark future ahead for Sony Animation. I don't know. I feel like this relationship might be going in a direction that people might not like. I'm just gonna say. Let's see now. Even with the Mitchells vs. the Machines in mind, this looks like it could be Sony's big magnum opus this year. The animation is gorgeous, particularly that brief 2D sequence. Lin-Manuel himself gives a great performance, and the music is absolutely phenomenal. So this will be a must-watch probably before I watch The Suicide Squad. Hell, with this, In the Heights, Encanto, and Tick Tick Boom in mind, maybe we can call this the unofficial year of Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh yeah, absolutely. This dude, yeah, like 2021 really has been a major year for Lin. Like, honestly, it would have actually been so perfect if Disney did not change their plans with the Hamilton movie, because you guys probably remember the original plan for that Hamilton movie that's on Disney Plus. Not only was it meant for the big screen, but it was supposed to be coming out on October of 2021. So imagine if Disney stuck their guns with that. It would have been a massively epic year for Lin. All right, I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story. A fairly cute movie. It pretty much looks colorful, upbeat, and the story sounds enjoyable. One thing I do like about this is that the punk rock character really looks like it's not going to be an edgy punk rock archetype that tries to appeal to the crowd, and boy do I love that. Also, dumb question, but am I the only one who noticed that nobody in the Trialar acknowledges that there is a talking monkey? I think that's going to be something that they'll mention in the movie. I don't know. I think it's going to be something that they'll say in Vivo or something like that. I think the movie will acknowledge it. If done right, they will acknowledge it, but we'll see. But overall, though, if you guys are excited for Vivo, remember that it's going to be coming out this Friday on August 6th. All right, folks, it's time. We got the grand finale coming up, and oh boy, is it quite a grand finale. Not necessarily something cartoon related, but it certainly is something that is crazy related, because a new Marvel war has actually begun, and already people are really hyped up to check it out on the internet. It's not really a civil war, it's not really an Infinity War, but it's the big war between Black Widow and Disney. Yes, Scarlett Johansson has filed a lawsuit against Disney over a breach of contract because Disney released Black Widow on Disney+. Now, beforehand, let me just go and start things off by giving you all a little bit of context. You guys remember that in July, Disney has finally released Black Widow after more than a year of a major delay. And at first, it seemed like it was going to be a big helper to go and revive the movie theater business, to help go and bring the box office back to its former glory, especially when this year so far, it has the biggest opening of 2021 with $80 million, on top of Disney mentioning that it also made an additional $60 million on Disney Plus, since they decided to do a simultaneous release, putting Black Widow out on the big screen and on Disney Plus. However, in the following weeks, well, it just went on a nosedive. On the second weekend and in the following weeks, that's when Black Widow really did not shine. That's when it really tumbled down to the point where people are preparing to call Black Widow the biggest, not the biggest box office bomb, but rather, the least successful, the lowest grossing Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It's ready to go and actually have that title. And a lot of people could go and debate about what actually happened. Like maybe COVID could actually be could actually be something that could be a factor into this. And, we live in a very complicated time, especially with this pandemic that is still going on. And now with the Delta variant that is still trying to push the longevity of this entire pandemic. Like, even I thought that we are reaching the tail end, especially that more and more people are getting vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. Like, okay, finally we can put things back to normal. But no, sadly, that's not the case. The Delta variant is coming in and we're still having this pandemic and people are still getting infected. And unfortunately, some people are still dying from the coronavirus. So unfortunately, that's still a major factor. But there could be plenty of other things as well. But long story short, the box office situation is very complicated, not just with Black Widow, but for all movies in general right now. Like even Space Jam: A New Legacy, debatably, it's getting it much worse than Black Widow. However, with that said though, considering that things have not been going well, and that Disney also decided to go and put it on Disney Plus, Scarlett Johansson and her team of lawyers are very much not cool with it. In fact, they even mentioned that because of that news, because of that move that Disney decided to go and do, they accused Disney that they say they owe Scarlett Johansson somewhere around $50 million. In fact, her legal team went out and stated, reading from my source here on Variety, Disney chose to placate Wall Street investors and pad its bottom line, rather than to allow its subsidiary Marvel to comply with the agreement. To no one's surprise, Disney's breach of the agreement successfully pulled millions of fans away from the theaters and towards its Disney Plus service. We also got another quote here directly from one of her lawyers, which is John Berlinski, in which he states here, "It's no surprise that Disney is releasing films like Black Widow directly onto Disney Plus to increase subscribers and thereby boost the company's stock price, and that it's hiding behind COVID-19 as a pretext to do so. But ignoring the contracts of the artists responsible for the success of its films is furtherance of this short-sighted strategy, violates their rights, and we look forward to proving as much in court. This will surely not be the last case where Hollywood talents stand up to Disney and make it clear that whatever the company may pretend, it has a legal obligation to honor its contracts." So, of course, with all this happening, the big picture with this so far is that with Scarlett Johansson, she is suing Disney because they apparently owe her a lot of money, and $50 million is not chump change, let me tell you that, even for a mega corporation like the Walt Disney Company. However, Disney decided that they're not gonna hold back. They're not gonna play nice, and they're still standing their ground. In which Disney actually did make a little bit of a response, and this time I'm reading here from my source on Deadline, to which they put out a statement that says here, "There is no merit whatsoever to this filing. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in this callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disney has fully complied with Miss Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. And apparently, with this thing here, Disney did try to defend themselves, including revealing how much she actually got paid for performing in Black Widow. But that, let me tell you, it backfired, and it backfired hard. And a lot of people so far are actually calling her out here. I don't think I need this one. Yep, this is the one that I'm talking about, where there are several organizations and even her own agent, which is one of the biggest agents in Hollywood, by the way, Women in Film, Reframe, and Time's Up, they all called Disney out, and they even called it a gendered character attack. They even put out a massive statement here, just reading from this source here from The Hollywood Reporter, to which it states, while we take no position on the business issue in the litigation between Scarlett Johansson and the Walt Disney Company, we stand firmly against Disney's recent statement, which attempts to characterize Johansson as insensitive or selfish for defending her contractual business rights. This gendered character attack has no place in a business dispute and contributes to an environment in which women and girls are perceived as less able than men to protect their own interests without facing ad hominem criticism. We also got a quote from Johansson's agent as well, who is also the co-chair of CAA, Brian Lord, to which he states, They have shamelessly and falsely accused Miss Johansson of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone that they and I know she isn't. Scarlett has been Disney's partner on 9 movies, which have earned Disney and its shareholders billions. The company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and a businesswoman. And if that were something that she should be ashamed of, and as if that were something that she would be ashamed of, Scarlett is extremely proud of the work that she and all of the actors, writers, directors, producers, and the Marvel creative team have been a part of for well over a decade. So that's pretty much the big thing here, is that this is so far the biggest controversy in Hollywood so far. It's the big legal battle of Scarlett Johansson versus not Marvel, but Scarlett Johansson versus Disney. Now, one thing that I will say is that I am absolutely shocked that this thing has been happening, because when I would go and talk about the situation with COVID and what Disney wants to do with Disney Plus over the years, especially at the start of 2021, when I would talk to other people about it, you probably would hear that when I would have a special guest in the podcast, they would often tell me that there would be no way that Disney would do so with their Marvel movies, that they can't do that with something like Black Widow, especially the fact that they would have contracts that would state that they cannot actually do that. They would demand to actually have a purely theatrical release, especially when they would have some of the biggest celebrities playing the leads in these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, especially with Scarlett Johansson, who is one of the biggest actresses in the business right now. So that would be something that I would be told again and again and again, that because of the complications with the contracts and that they are Disney's biggest movie so far, that they would put literally millions upon millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars onto, that this is something that they have to make sure that it's just a theatrical release date, just like what the contract would state, especially when they would have these major celebrities on board. However, that doesn't seem to stop Disney to go and do so anyways, because it definitely was a massive shock when the news actually broke out that for both Cruella and Black Widow, that they would go and give them a theatrical and Disney Plus release. Now, in my mind, I was thinking by that point, okay, if Disney is going to go and do that, then that probably means that they already got something covered. That this is something that, well, considering that Black Widow was supposed to be released in May of last year, they had some good long talks with the producers, with the executives at Marvel, and especially with Scarlett Johansson. They probably got that all settled out in order to actually have that release. But no. That doesn't seem to be the case because according to this lawsuit, it really does seem to be the fact that Disney decided, screw it, we're just going to do so anyways without actually consulting anyone. Like, you'd think because of the amount of contracts and the amount of like powerful people that are actually involved with this, Disney would actually go and be careful with what they have done. But that doesn't seem to be what is happening here. And like I said before, so far with the downfall of Black Widow in terms of how it's performing financially, it is very much complicated. And like, yeah, you could argue that it is because of the box office, not the box office, but it is because of the pandemic and how things are going right now and like other forms of complications and stuff like that. Yeah, there are a lot of layers as to why is it that Black Widow is not performing as well as many people would expect. But still, though, it's something that Disney should have thought of in the long run. This, like, they had so much time to consider about what to do in this situation, and yet they decided to just put it out there just like that, as if nothing happened, as it like that apparently they didn't even consult Johansson, they didn't consult Marvel, they didn't consult anyone like that. Now, I know that there is also the criticism against Scarlett Johansson as well, considering the fact that she's doing this because it is a box office bomb and that she's not really getting massive compensation. Not to mention how I know technically her character is dead because of what happened with Endgame and stuff like that, and that technically it is only a prequel. But even by that point, a lot of people are saying that it is already a noticeable bomb, considering that Black Widow is not getting like a whole trilogy or stuff like that, that we're not seeing more of Black Widow, because if it were a big hit, then Disney would probably be consulting with Marvel about what to do if they would go and make a Black Widow 2 and how they could go and expand those movies along as fitting them within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That would have been a possibility, and because right now it is a flop, Scarlett Johansson is not really getting the compensation that she was expected to have. And like some people are saying that, like, yeah, the Disney Plus thing, that is kind of an excuse as to why. And that's also another reason why the whole box office situation is complicated, especially with the factor of Black Widow, is because of Disney's simultaneous release on Disney Plus as well. But it looks like we are pretty much in a case where Scarlett Johansson is owed much more than Disney is expected to. But whatever the situation may be, one thing I will say is that I do agree with how Disney is actually getting a lot of backlash from this, especially in terms with their response. Like, number one, I will say right now that trying to use the pandemic as an excuse to make Scarlett Johansson look bad, saying that, oh, she doesn't care about the current situation with the pandemic. I mean, I'm sorry, Disney. What are you trying to say again? Like, yeah, you're trying to say Scarlett Johansson is the one that is irresponsible with the pandemic situation with this lawsuit, yet you guys are still keeping Walt Disney World open, despite the fact that Florida is currently the most infected state and is getting the biggest numbers in terms of deaths and in terms of those who actually caught COVID. So remind me again, who's the one that is irresponsible in terms of COVID? I'm just saying. And yeah, there's a lot of ways where it seems like on Disney's part, like they really are like it really does seem like they really are like trying to make Scarlett Johansson look like the bad guy here because of this lawsuit. And I mean, I don't blame them for trying to fight back, because again, like, she's trying to sue for around $50 million, and that is an amount that no company, no matter how big they are, is not a joke. But still, though, it does seem like a pretty weak argument that Disney is putting out there. And also, to make matters worse, I'm just going to say this right now, I am actually hearing rumors, nothing is confirmed as of yet, but even Emma Stone is actually thinking about doing the same thing. That she's thinking about suing Disney as well for having that kind of similar treatment with Cruella. Now, it is confirmed, though, that Dwayne Johnson is not doing that with the Jungle Cruise, but there is a chance we might see Emma Stone doing the same thing as well. And overall, I feel like with this entire situation, yeah, honestly, the sooner that these two settle, the better, because this looks like a battle that nobody is going to win. That it's going to be looking bad. It's going to look bad on Scarlett Johansson's part because she's fighting against one of the biggest entertainment, or like the biggest entertainment company in the world. And Disney does have the power in order to take down Scarlett Johansson, like to really make her look bad and to give a severe scar to her career. She would be capable of actually like Disney would be capable of actually doing that to her if this lawsuit persists. But then on the other hand, the longer this lawsuit would go, the more that Disney is going to be facing with this massive PR hell, that this is really going to look bad for them. And I can guarantee you that most people are going to be siding with Scarlett Johansson on this one instead of siding with Disney. Like, they are going to go and make the big corporation look like the bad guy in this. And not to mention that a lot of actors as well are going to be siding with ScarJo on this one. And if those big actors, like those big profitable actors, that they're going to side with ScarJo, then it's less likely that they're going to be working for Disney anytime soon. And that is something that Disney cannot afford. Like, if they're going to go and battle against Scarlett Johansson, like, in the long run, maybe they might lose something a little bit more than just $50 million. So honestly, I feel like the best case scenario in this situation here is that the sooner they would go and settle on this case, I believe the better it would be, because so far it's something that I feel like it's not going to look good on anyone's part. Like they have to go and settle, because all I could see is something that would do more damage than it would actually go and solve any situation whatsoever. So again, I just feel like this is a situation that feels massively complicated, especially with the box office performance of Black Widow. I don't know personally what is said in the contracts in there. I don't know what is going on, but still, though, I just feel like the sooner they can get this over with, the better. So, with that said, though, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you, how do you feel about the whole lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson versus Disney? Are you siding with ScarJo on this one? Are you siding with Disney? How do you feel about the whole situation, especially with the box office with Black Widow? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. Honestly, Matt, I don't have much to say about this news other than it is very crazy. However, I just want to say that I am very worried about the future of both the box office and the studios doing the same-day release strategy. Along with Disney, Warner Brothers has been suffering from that strategy. Why else do you think they are going to lose so much money this year from many of their movies either underperforming or bombing at the box office, even with the same-day release strategy? Yeah, that's the thing, is that right now, sadly, the future is unpredictable, especially with this pandemic. Like about a month ago, I thought we were reaching the tail end, but I guess I was wrong, because right now, we still got the Delta variant that is going around. The pandemic is still alive and well, and we don't know what that would necessarily mean for the box office. Is it still going to thrive? Is it still going to continue? Are companies still going to be doing that same day release strategy? We honestly don't know. The future is unpredictable. And yeah, I know that technically Disney said right now that The Jungle Cruise is their last movie, that they're going to do that same release strategy. But still, though, there is a part of me that feels like that feels doubtful, and I wouldn't be surprised if for their next batch of movies, like even with the Eternals and for Encanto, they would end up doing the same thing. You never know with what is happening in the future. So, yeah, I understand how you are worried about this, but I don't know what to say, honestly. It's hard to really predict what's going to be going on, especially when this pandemic is so unpredictable. This is absolutely a crazy situation. For me personally, I'm pretty mixed. On one hand, it was a mistake for Disney to not consult with Marvel, but on the other hand, I can understand why they did this because of how the pandemic is resurging. Also, I'm probably in the minority of this, but I think Disney is making a serious mistake putting Shang-Chi and Eternals exclusively in theaters and decided to end their premiere access for Disney Plus because it could affect the MCU financially. Yeah, that is true. And that's considering that Shang-Chi is gonna be released exclusively in theaters, that's gonna be a massive test for Disney. And it's gonna be a massive test for movies in general, for all movies actually, to see if it is still safe to go in the waters, because it is a big MCU movie that's not gonna go directly onto Disney Plus. So that will be a big test. And again, you never know how the pandemic is going to be, because right now people are saying that things are getting worse now with the Delta variant, so you never know if it could end up becoming a big flop, even if it is just released on the big screen. But I don't know, we just need to wait and see. Let's see now. As a Marvel fan, this court case is as crazy as this podcast. Disney is in a pretty weak spot this year, first with shutting down Blue Sky Studios, and now with the lawsuit over Black Widow, and even Emma Stone in on the action with Cruella. When you put it like that, it really goes to show, even though I haven't seen the movie, it is definitely a hell of a crazy story, especially since in a year like 2021, hopes this gets resolved somehow. All right, let's see what else we got. So I'm going to be on Disney's side in this. The movie industry is not going back to normal with theatrical films anytime soon. Film is still a business, and the business cannot sustain itself with exclusively theatrical releases. Not during a pandemic, that is. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the lawsuit doesn't end well with for Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson is still making more money in a day than most people are in a year. Okay, that's interesting. I am pretty much on Scarlett's side on this. Well, going on the flip side now, people may say things like celebrities don't need more money, but this is not really about the money. It's about the integrity of the contract which Disney broke. Disney should have honestly renegotiated with her before the movie's release. I do wish that Scarlett would win this case, but like Mr. Burns, Disney has one thing everybody fears: 10 high-priced lawyers. Yeah, that's going to be pretty, that's why it's going to be pretty interesting to see, because like these are two massive giants, and technically Disney is a bigger giant than Johansson, regardless of how popular she is right now. Let's see, I'll read one more comment before we cap this off. Let's see. Actually, I just read you, and there we go. Okay, we'll do this one. To me, I really need to be on Scarlett's side on this. Disney should really consider canceling their premiere access thing altogether. I can hope that one day one movie will bring back the box office numbers big time, but I'm pretty glad that The Jungle Cruise would be the last to do premiere access. But in all seriousness, let's put shame on Disney and COVID. Well, I mean, COVID don't, like, yeah, you can put shame on Disney all you want, but I'm just saying with COVID, they don't care, because COVID is ruling things right now. And as long as that thing is still thriving, the box office won't. So it's honestly something that nobody can really control in this situation. But anyways, with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And we did it, folks! No interruptions, no problem whatsoever. We finally did it. Oh my God, it feels good for something to actually work as planned. So hopefully more of this can actually happen. So I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for listening, and tune in next week when things can work now and I can go and tell more crazy stories and review more weird trailers that are going to be coming up. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes.